Hey guys, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. And today we are going to be talking about mountain lions and various mountain lions attacks that have occurred in the last few years, and also education about mountain lions and what you can do to be safe out on trail, and hopefully also lessen any of your fears that you might have, because I think mountain lions are an awesome animal, and yes, they are an apex predator, but I think that they are a very important part of our ecosystem. They are the fourth largest cat species in the world. As you can see here, they're a little bit bigger than a bobcat, obviously a lot bigger than a domestic cat. And there used to be a whole species of eastern mountain lions, but they were completely eradicated, unfortunately. But mountain lions do have the largest range next to humans of any mammal in the United States. And they do seem to be making a comeback. They're still sort of spreading further east, and people have been sighting them all over the place, and people do see them. There are panthers in parts of Florida, and people see mountain lions every now and then in places like New York and South Carolina, and they can reach a max speed of 50 miles an hour when they're running. Their average lifespan is about 18 to 13 years, and they are just astonishing jumpers, and they can bound almost 40 feet. I mean, they are just a really, really impressive animal. And honestly, if you've ever been hiking in mountain lion territory, the odds are that a mountain lion has seen you, even though you've probably not seen one of them. It's very rare to actually see a mountain lion. This is one of the most recent range maps that I could find. As you can see, the dark green area is the big range, and then the shaded regions are sort of the lesser known areas. This is a small mountain lion. And unfortunately, what's happening now, because various states have different varying hunting laws, that's actually creating sort of a problem, because in some states it's legal to do hunting of mountain lions, even hunting of mountain lions with dogs, which I think gives an unfair advantage. But they're hunting the adults, and if the adults are wiped out, especially the females, the younger ones don't have anyone to learn, or any lion to learn from of their hunting, and a lot of times it's younger mountain lions that end up attacking humans. Now, in the state of California, which has a very large mountain lion population, they don't have legal hunting of mountain lions. What they have is a 3-strike policy, which means if a mountain lion is attacking, let's say, your livestock, and they come back after 3 times, like if you try non-lethal methods, on the 3rd time, I believe you can get a permit to euthanize the animal if it's, killing livestock, or God forbid it's attacked a human. In those cases, the animal is always hunt down and destroyed. Now, we're going to be talking about several different cases of mountain lion attacks. Like I said, in recent years, a lot of the attacks have been juvenile mountain lions. And not to say that isn't as dangerous, because, they can be lethal at, 60, 70, 80 pounds. Just recently, a young boy was attacked in California. On August 26th of this year at approximately 10:45, a 65-year-old mountain lion attacked the boy in his front yard in Calabasas, California, inflicting various wounds to his head and neck and various other parts. But the boy's mother was there, and she ran out and yelling and screaming, and was able to pull the mountain lion off the boy and saved his life. The boy was transported to the hospital, and he was treated for his injuries, and he survived and is expected to make a full recovery. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife obviously immediately came out and started investigating, and one of the officers at the boy's home discovered an aggressive mountain lion that was crouched in the corner of the property, and due to the behavior and proximity to the attack, this guy believed that it was the attacking lion and did put it down. And the California Department of Fish and Wildlife did later determine that that was the mountain lion that had attacked the boy. Approximately 20 minutes after he had killed that lion, 2 more mountain lions appeared. One was a full-grown adult with a radio collar, and the other was a smaller lion, about 65 pounds. After verifying with the boy's mom that the lion that attacked her son did not have a collar, they put those lions down with tranquilizers and took them back for the lab for DNA testing. And then they realized that the lion with the collar was P54, which is a mountain lion who is part of the National Park Service mountain lion study, which is pictured here. P54 is known to have birthed a bunch of cubs back in 2020, October of 2020, and it was one of her cubs that had done the attacking. But since she was not in the vicinity, she was not captured, and the other cubs that were captured, the other lines that were captured, they were put on collars and then released into the nearest suitable habitat. In this particular case, it's really hard to say. I mean, if you're in a neighborhood or living in an area where you know mountain lions live, you just want to be extra cautious about keeping an eye on your kids. I think this woman was a hero. She came out and saved her son. So I don't know if there was really anything that could have been done to prevent this particular attack. I mean, the little boy was just playing on the driveway. Like I said, I guess you just have to be extra vigilant in those type of environments. But thankfully he was okay. And I think that unfortunately sometimes mountain lion mistake, young kids and small animals as prey. And if we look at the statistics over the recent years, especially in populated environments, it's generally younger children. So it's just always good to be extra cautious. Mountain lions are attracted to moving things like mountain bikers and runners. So these are often the people that are attacked, often small children or small animals, because it's just like if you have a household cat and you fling a string in front of it, it's just its natural reaction to lunge at something that's moving. That's why it's so important that you never ever want to run from a mountain lion. If you do encounter one, you want to keep eye contact, never break eye contact with it, and try and back away slowly at an angle. If you can, if it starts pursuing you, yell. If you can, throw a rock at it. I know a lot of people are familiar with the recent video of the guy in Utah who was pursued for over 6 minutes. And that was actually a mountain lion female that was defending her cubs. And even though that video looked really scary, the mountain lion was actually in a defensive position, because really if it wanted to take him out, it could have easily lunged at him and taken him out. And really at the end, it only took him throwing a rock for it to be scared off. And I'm by no means minimizing that account. I mean, I think he handled himself great. I think it would be scary for anyone. I'll have a link to that video in the description if you're interested in watching it. Mountain lions, their main prey is things like deer and small animals. So, to a mountain lion, people look kind of weird. I mean, we stand on two legs, we wear kind of bright colored clothing, we talk. So we just don't look like their normal prey. So they usually try and avoid us. So just a few safety tips to discuss before we get into the next case. If you are going to be out alone, carry bear spray. It works just as effectively against mountain lions as it does against bears. If you can, hike with other people, go in group. If you're out running or hiking alone, don't wear earbuds. This guy that we're going to be talking about next, he says that that's one of the things that saved him, was not wearing earbuds. Now, the next three cases that we're going to be talking about all took place in Fort Collins, Colorado. The first one we're going to be talking about took place in the Horsetooth mountain space, open mountain space, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with because it got a lot of media attention. This happened back in 2019 in February with a guy named Travis Kaufman. The other two cases we're going to talk about happened in 2020, but I think it's important we talk about Travis's case because there's several things that we can learn. Not only like after he went through this attack, he had such a great attitude about it, and he even felt bad about having to, the outcome being that he had to kill the mountain lion, which obviously it was either him or the mountain lion. So Travis set out on February 4th to do a run between 12 and 15 miles in the Horsetooth Mountain Park. And as you can see here in the map, there's tons of different trails. The star is where he was attacked. But anyway, he came upon an area that was really icy and snowy, so he decided to take a different spur trail, and he heard some rustling in the pine needles behind him. And this is where he said thankfully he wasn't wearing earbuds, because he turned around and he saw that it was a mountain lion. And within that amount of time, the mountain lion had already sprung on him. The two wrestled around for a while, eventually going over this little hill. But eventually he was able to pin it down and basically smother it to death. Now, it was determined that this mountain lion was a juvenile from about 3 to 4 months old, weighing about 65 pounds. But it still did a lot of damage. It had bit into his wrist. It caused him to get 17 stitches in his face, other puncture wounds throughout his body. And he's recovering. He recovered fine from his injuries. And he said he recommended people, if they're running or hiking, don't wear earbuds in both ears. At least keep one out. hiking groups, and I have to agree. And I think that it would be good to carry a whistle and bear spray as well. And I know some people might be thinking it would be uncomfortable to run or bike with a bear spray canister, but they do have several different types of holsters that keep it secure against your body, that's comfortable, so definitely check those out. This next case takes us to an area just west of Loveland, which is just south of Fort Collins. And back in March of 2020, a man by the name of Randy Kirschman was a longtime Colorado resident. He had spent 20 years hunting and fishing, and he said he had never seen a mountain lion. And he was, at the time, he was cutting shower tiles in the driveway of one of his customers on River Rim Road at about 1:30 in the afternoon, waiting for his UPS driver to pull up. The two were just talking, and the driver was standing outside his truck. Well, the driver went back inside the vehicle, and Randy was just standing there, and he noticed out of the corner of his eye this huge mountain lion that was looking at him, and the mountain lion just started picking up speed, running towards him, and eventually attacked him, biting into his arm. And he just wrestled around with it, punching it, fighting with all his might. And after this, struggle, he was able to get it off, and the mountain lion scattered off and ran into this RV park, pictured here. And by this time, people had called the authorities. There were several witnesses in the area, and the police arrived within a few minutes. And they went to this RV park, and the mountain lion was cowering under like one of the trailers. And all of a sudden, it just lunged out and attacked one of the policewomen that was on scene. She wrestled around with it for a little while, and I guess because it had lunged so quickly, she wasn't able to draw her gun. But yeah, these are pictures of her with the mountain lion. She managed to wrestle it off, and then all these other authorities were there. They shot at it. They didn't kill it. It ran off, and later the park authorities and other people came. They hunted it down and were able to kill it. And unfortunately, it had rabies. So both these people had to undergo rabies treatments, and they both are recovering fine. Aside that, I mean, obviously it's very traumatizing, but thankfully they weren't permanently wounded or anything like that. But the rabies treatments, I hear, are not fun at all. And unfortunately, when an animal is afflicted with something like rabies, it makes it just incredibly aggressive and, just out of its mind with God knows what. In cases like this, when an animal is diseased or if they're famished, a lot of times with cats, if they have a broken canine, this will cause them to attack humans when they otherwise would have never even gone near a human. So in this particular case, that was obviously probably the main cause of this attack. And really, I don't see really they could have done anything except if they had, obviously the woman was armed and he had guns, but it was just sort of like a blitzkrieg attack. Not much you can do except what they did, and they both were heroes. They both were able to fight off the mountain lion, and in both these stories there were true heroes. Alejandro Rodriguez, who was the UPS driver, used a piece of one of his pallets to fend off the mountain lion. And then when the police officer Michelle Ross of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, when she was being attacked, one of her partners, Chris, he went up and attacked and kicked the mountain lion. And that takes a lot of bravery. I mean, for me, it's just always inspiring hearing these part of the stories, that despite like this being a very traumatic incident, like there was these people that risked their own life to help, and I just love that. Our final case happened in North Bend outside of Seattle, Washington, on a remote trail back in 2018, and two mountain bikers were just enjoying a Saturday morning bike. S.J. Brooks, who was 32 at the time, and his pal Isaac Setterbaum, who was 31, they were just biking down this little secluded trail, and they saw a mountain lion come out of the woods. When they first saw the mountain lion, they got off their bikes and managed to scare him away, making noise, throwing stuff and scramming their bikes together. But unfortunately, the cougar reappeared out of the brush and attacked both the men. The one man, Setterbaum, he literally said that his whole head was inside the mountain lion's mouth. His friend Brooks ran away. Unfortunately, this triggered the predator response, and the mountain lion actually let go of the one guy and chased Brooks down. Meanwhile, Setterbaum had managed to get back on his bike and get to an area with cell service and called 911, but he was severely injured himself, and I guess he got cut off, and eventually the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife came up, and they did unfortunately find Brooks, who had been killed by this mountain lion, and they later determined that this was a 3-year-old male who only weighed 100 pounds, which they said was 40 to 80 pounds underweight. So this was a starving mountain lion, and that coupled with the moving bikes, they believe, was the reason for the attack. Soderbaum was taken to Harborview Medical Center and treated for serious injuries, but he did make a recovery. Unfortunately, like in these type of situations where the animal is undernourished, obviously, okay, if you have bear spray or a weapon, yes, your chances are better. But as far as like preventing the attack, it's hard to say what could be done in that situation. So we do have one more case to talk about, and I saved this to the last just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit and show you that not all mountain lions are just out to get you. Some just want some love. I honestly had to check this because I couldn't believe it was true, but it was covered by tons of news stories. So this took place in good old Yosemite Park because why not? Yosemite has a tendency to have all the weird things happen in it. And Adam Lebrusky, 27, was hiking there this summer, and he managed to break his ankle. And during this time, he traveled over 26 miles with a broken ankle and no food. So he eventually had to take refuge in a cave where, little did he know, there was a mountain lion was already living there with cubs. So anyway, he found a cave, and apparently it was dark out while he found this cave. So just a little point of reference, if you ever come into this situation and you don't have a flashlight, I'm sure you all have cell phones. All you need to do is point your phone or camera in there with a flash on, take a picture, and then look at the picture on your screen or your camera, and it'll show you if there's anything at least as far deep as the picture can show. So after Adam was rescued, he claims he was held captive by the mountain lion, who refused to let him leave the cave, but did not harm him in any fashion. Instead, he alleges that the female cougar mistook him for a sexual partner and continually forced herself on him by rubbing herself against him and making mountain lion mating sounds. And he said that he feared that if he didn't give her what she wanted, that she would become really aggressive and trying to harm him. His fiance said that she didn't take so kindly to the news, but she said that she was happy that he was back healthy and safe and continued to move forward with their wedding plans. And even funnier, the ranger said she believes that it was the mountain lion's instinct for reproduction what saved Adam's life. I don't know. What do you guys think? Only in Yosemite, right? Anyway, guys, that's coming to the end of this video, but in all seriousness, mountain lions they're an apex predator, and they demand respect, and just to be cautious and just keep your eyes open when you're out in their territory. And I would recommend carrying bear spray, carrying a whistle, and hiking or running in groups if you can. And just remember, being attacked by a mountain lion is extremely rare. In the last 100 years, there's been less than 36 reported cases in North America, or cases of being held hostage by one. You just always want to be aware of your surroundings and hike smart and safe. My thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in this video and anyone who's ever been attacked by a mountain lion or has lost a loved one to a mountain lion attack, and just hoping that you can find closure and move on. Thank you everybody for watching. As always, please keep the comments respectful. Thank you to co.ag for providing the background music, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for everyone for sticking with me to the end. And just a few other interesting facts about mountain lions. They are the biggest cat that purrs and meows, which I thought was interesting. And they are they're generally solitary animals. So they usually, once they're adults, they have a range of about 50 miles. And they have, in places like California, they've actually built bridges under the roads so that they can travel under the roads, because actually traffic is one of the main causes of mountain lions being killed. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.